Sometimes the hardest listings to explain are the really nice ones. The clean, well-maintained homes in good neighborhoods, priced where the seller thought it made sense, and yet they still sit. If you've lived in your home for a while and you've taken really good care of it and you've updated it nicely, that can feel really confusing and pretty frustrating at the same time. I'm Diana Pullen. I'm here in Redmond, Oregon, and I spend a lot of time walking through this exact situation with sellers because most of the people that I sit down with have homes just like yours. They're well cared for, they've been thoughtfully updated, they're not distressed, they're not neglected. So when these homes on the market aren't getting the response that we're expecting, it's not really obvious why. A lot of times the assumption is when you go to market that you have a nice home, so it should sell. It's in a nice neighborhood, and that totally feels reasonable at the time. But the way that our buyers these days are making decisions is a little bit different than the way it used to be. Buyers aren't just driving through neighborhoods that they like. I mean, sometimes they are, but like a lot of times buyers are, they're not driving through the neighborhoods and saying, that's it, that's the house I want. They are making saves online and they're comparing your home to other homes. And they're asking, is this a good home for me in my situation, in my price range right now? And that's where things have changed a little bit from past behavior because your home isn't being judged just on its own on a drive-by. It's being compared to the other homes that they saw earlier that day, the listings that they've saved, and even sometimes to new construction popping up all over time. So even if your home is objectively nice, if something feels slightly more aligned for the buyer, that's where they're going to gravitate. This is sometimes hard to see from the seller side. And your price might just be a little bit ahead of the data, or your photos aren't showing your home the best way of how it is lived, or it just doesn't stand up well next to the other options that are on the market. And that's where the buyers pause. And when they pause, they're not going to schedule a showing. So what I often see is that your home goes on the market, you get a lot of early attention, maybe a few showings, you get a lot of positive feedback like, oh, it's a beautiful home, oh, it shows really well, but nobody's putting in an offer. And then like crickets, it starts to get quiet. And this is where things are starting to kind of feel a little bit uncomfortable. And it's definitely a feeling that sellers don't want because we're not like fresh on the market anymore. We're not getting all kinds of showings. We're just sitting there waiting. And when that quiet stretches, that's where our conversation is going to have to turn into, well, do we need a price adjustment or should we offer a seller concession? And that's definitely something that we're trying to avoid as sellers. We don't want to leave any money on the table. Nobody wants to feel like they're chasing the market down. So here's the way that I like to think about it. Our goal for your home isn't just to list a well-kept, nicely updated, and decorated home. Our goal is to strategically price your home so that when the buyers are looking at it and they're comparing it to their other options online, your home feels like the one that they have to go see. It's a completely different strategy, and it all boils down to aligning with the market. When I sit down with sellers in your position, here's what I usually walk through with them. What and where are similar homes? How much are they closing for? Like what are similar homes closing for nearby? How buyers are behaving in this particular price bracket, and what will your home be sitting next to online? And then we ask, when we think we found a balance, Does this feel aligned, or do we feel slightly ahead of the market? Because if we're just slightly ahead of the market, that's where your buyers are going to hesitate. So this much is true. If your home is well maintained and thoughtfully cared for, you're already in a really good position. You don't need any major upgrades or updates. You just need to fine tune how it's going to enter the market. For most of the sellers that I work with, the goal isn't just to sell. What they want to do is they want to sell in a reasonable time frame. They want to avoid multiple adjustments on the price, and they want to feel like they made the right decision from the start. Our goal is to have a smooth, low stress experience. If you're thinking about selling this year and you're wondering how your home would compare next to others in your price range in Redmond or Central Oregon, I'm happy to sit down with you and walk through your options. We can look at all the numbers, we can look at the competition, we can look at how your home would best be positioned if it were to hit the market right now. No pressure, no insistent crazy follow-up if we're not the right fit. It's just a simple conversation to look at your options so that you can make a confident decision and not leave any money on the table. In my next video, I'm going to walk through my strategy for the moment that listing starts to feel like it's slowing down, and how to tell the difference between normal and something that needs attention.